Welcome to Take Up Space, coming into full expression with courage and beauty. Our world needs conscious, fully engaged women like you who are ready to show up authentically with all your precious and unique gifts. The antidote to toxic structures that seek to silence our voices is to be audaciously unapologetic in expressing your full radiance and beauty. And this summit offers a doorway of creative transformation to support you in stepping into your power. Be inspired by the gathering of courageous women leaders who are here to show you the way. Gain new perspectives and practical takeaways so that you can embrace the full spectrum expression of the divine feminine in a way that is uniquely aligned to you. I'm your host for this event, Irene Chong, and today I'm excited to present Verena Burrell, who'll be sharing more on how to create and lead your life bravely and from your heart with the Venus cycle in Leo. Verena Burrell lives in a small town in the south of Austria, surrounded by mountains and lakes. She works with evolutionary astrology in the lineage of Jeffrey Wolf Green, intuitive guidance, and the Akashic records. For Verena, astrology is a lived, embodied experience. The planets, humans, animals, plants, nature, everything is part of an enchanted, wise, meaningful universe. She believes that we are all interconnected and part of an overarching stream and dance of evolution. She started her 3-year-long professional training at Somatic Experiencing International this year in 2024 to unite somatic experiencing and astrology, soul, and soma. She also feels a deep devotion to Venus and other goddess planetary bodies, especially Diana, because their archetypes and energies can help us return to natural cycles and regain balance inside of ourselves and in the world. Verena's calling is to initiate, empower, and support other human beings on their path of deconditioning, rewilding, and awareness. She offers astrology courses and workshops for spiritual entrepreneurs, coaches, and healing practitioners who want to deepen and expand their toolbox and their work through astrology. Verena's offerings are available in German and the English language. Verena, welcome. I love your integrated, beautiful approach to astrology, and I'd love to hear more about your personal story. So here's my first question. What was your biggest challenge around expressing your truth, and what enabled you to courageously show up in your full authenticity?
Hi, Irene. Thank you so much for this invitation and for this super juicy and pretty challenging question, because I think that, talking with astrology, I have Leo energy, I have Aries energy, and I have also many placements in the 12th house and my sun in Taurus. And I feel this huge calling to share what wants to come through me, to step out into the world, to really, I have a mission. I want to bring so much change into this world. And it's really that I always have the feeling that it's coming through me. So I'm just the channel for something that wants to be expressed. And so I think there is this deep urge and this deep need to show up and to be there. And on the other hand, there is also, I think it's a daily job to not feel like I'm on the wrong path or feel rejected when sometimes you're not seen or you don't get the validation that you maybe, wish for. So for me, this whole topic around, I think that it's less about courageously go outside into the arena. That's something that is not so difficult for me, because I have this calling, but staying there and finding stability there and staying in tune with your own body and don't overriding your capacity because you have so many desires. I think that's the bigger challenge for me. And it's a daily work for me. And it's often when we experience as solopreneurs challenges, or that you don't have enough people who sign up, or that something is happening in the external world, that you stay aligned and that you stay true to yourself. I think that's a daily work. And for me personally, it's all about having my daily rituals like meditation, really being a lot in nature, um, taking time for myself where I'm really just with myself and not influenced by other influences outside, and to stay aligned, to stay true to myself, and also to more and more be really embodied and stay in my body. Also, take care of my physical needs is a huge part of staying true to yourself too, because we are here in a body. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. That was such a refreshing story, actually. Like when you shared how astrology helped you gain clarity, like you know that you're clear, you have something to say, you have something to express, to communicate. Like you're here on a mission. So you're here to put yourself out there, etc. You mentioned planets in the 12th house and having lots of Leo energies. I know that you're going to talk more about that in a little bit. But this whole idea of knowing that you're on a mission, however, as you put your work into the world, you then receive feedback. So you're talking about making sure that you stay aligned, stay true to what it is that you want to share, depending on the feedback that you get. So you mentioned, what happens when, say, there are very few signups, or what happens maybe when people seem to reject your work. Do you then bow down to peer pressure, or do you, try and change who you are in order to fit in order to conform and to please other people? I think that that's a very universal situation that a lot of women will face and they can therefore resonate with. And it definitely takes a lot of courage. So even though you mentioned that, because you have such a strong calling, it doesn't feel like it's courageous for you to step out and share your work. But to stay in alignment, to have those daily rituals to keep you grounded and centered so that you don't get shaken and swayed by the external noise, the feedback that you receive, I think that takes a lot of courage. So I'd love to hear, how does your understanding and your practice of astrology help you to stay grounded in who you are, in the truth of who you are? Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much for summing my spontaneous answers up, because what you just said is, I think when we later in our conversation talk about the topics of the Venus cycle, I will dive deep into all of these topics around not only being seen, but really staying true to yourself and not pleasing others. Astrology really helps me on the one hand. Knowing about my own natal chart gives me clarity about my different parts and my different needs. So, for example, my sun in Taurus in the 12th house really needs calmness and simplicity and grounding. But there are also my placements in Aries and my Pluto in the 5th house, which is the Leo energy, which really have this fire, this desire, this calling. And I have also a strong Saturn, so there's a lot of deconditioning, deconditioning from, very repressive rules and roles from my ancestors and from the past and from society. So knowing my chart and exploring my chart, in new ways, almost, over the course of our life. I mean, we can live our different placements so differently. That gives me a lot of clarity. And on the other hand, really, astrology for me, the astrological transits, like the movements of the planets in the sky, help us to gain clarity about the energy and topics that are in the field. So this helps me to navigate what I subconsciously or consciously feel, experience in a better way. so that I can work more consciously and live more consciously and co-create more consciously with what is already here. So from my point of view, the astrological transits, the planets are not causing the energies. It's more that we are all interconnected, as you said while reading my bio, we are all interconnected and in an evolutionary dance together. And so the power or the magic of astrology is that we can literally read the sky and see more clearly what archetypal topics are in the field on an individual and collective level. So I can understand on a deeper level and also help my clients to understand on a deeper level what's actually going on and seeing the patterns and yeah, just being more conscious and live also with more compassion and self-compassion. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. In what you shared so far, you repeatedly mentioned the word conscious. And I think that's something that I also want to underline and emphasize, because that's the whole point of our journey to live and navigate through life in an awakened, conscious manner. And it sounds like astrology has provided such a useful tool. As you were sharing, I could tell that you have such an in-depth understanding of your own chart. And I'm sure that that also comes through when you serve your clients and you read their charts for them. Because the more self-knowledge you have, the more awareness you have, the more you're able to also translate and share that with your clients. So obviously we don't have the space here to go into like personal charts and personal planets and all of that, but I would love to hear you say more about collective transits. It was something that you talked about. So if, for the audience who's watching this and they're curious, right, how could something that's going on in the universe, in the cosmos right now, how could that be potentially affecting me? How can I derive inspiration and insight on how to live my best life now? What is, perhaps give us like one specific transit that you feel is of paramount importance, that deserves to be highlighted right now? What would that be?
Yeah, for example, the North Node in Aries. So the lunar nodes, which are very much connected to our personal and collective evolution. So our learning curve for a certain amount of time, 18 months. The lunar nodes moved into Aries and Libra last summer, and I think it was July 2023. And they stay in Aries and Libra until January 2025. And for example, there are so many things on our world stage in the personal lives of my clients, in my personal life, that just scream Aries, Libra. So it's knowing that, and I can dive a little bit deeper into that, what that means, Aries and Libra. Knowing that gives you a better understanding what is actually going on right now, and it's a little bit a direction where to evolve. And it gives you more clarity. So I think that it's not so much the question of, okay, now I know in theory what is happening in the sky, and then I can direct my life accordingly. It's more, oh, it's actually happening in my life. And knowing about astrology helps me to see it with more clarity, to see the patterns, to see maybe the challenges, to see what are the potentials of this energy, how can I unlock this. So, for example, with the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, this is so much related to this whole take up space topic. So I was just laughing inside of myself when you sent me a mail and asked me if I want to speak at the Take Up Space speakers event in 2024, because I thought, oh my gosh, that's North Node in Aries and Venus cycle in Leo. So the Aries North Node, so Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and the first fire sign. And it's all about initiation. It's the discovery of the self. and the separation from the cosmic womb, all that is Pisces. And it's this fundamental yes to life and that you have the right to be here. And it's also about accepting and owning that you are the leader of your life. So in Aries, we experience this dance between being interconnected, but also being an individual. And it's the initiation into yourself. It's the initiation into self-leadership, willpower, taking up space. And it's also a self-discovery. Who are you and who do you want to be? What do you truly want and need? And I think that this question, I see it with my clients, so many of us discover ourselves anew because we went through so many changes already over the last years. There was so much falling down of old systems, Pluto and Capricorn, and deconditioning structures that are too tight, that we broke apart, that we started anew. And now with Aries, with this Aries North Node, it's all about really setting healthy boundaries, even though that might mean to separate from others or even experience rupture, staying true to yourself, staying authentic, exploring yourself anew. And also the South Node in Libra, releasing and working with these patterns around fawning, people pleasing, appeasement at all cost, that you think you must fulfill external expectations all the time, that you prioritize the needs of others over your own needs, codependency, to feel loved and safe, so often due to trauma, of course. So there are all these topics that are in the field that I see with my clients, that I see in my own life, where knowing that the North Node is in Aries, that it is actually right now about healing these patterns around codependency, really working with these parts of us that feel so scared to not fulfill the expectations of others or to disappoint others or to hurt others, really healing those parts so that we can more authentically show up and take up space and step into our leadership role and discover ourselves anew in a way.
This is great. And thank you so much for highlighting how the collective energies of the North Node in Aries really points to this initiatory journey of separating us from the collective and discovering who we truly are. And also just to share that, I tuned in and I received this divine download that this is what this year's summit is going to be like. So it's interesting because even though I also practice astrology, I wasn't specifically looking at the transits and all of that. Rather, I was just really sitting in meditation and tuning in and seeing what would best serve the collective at this time as I put this offering out. So I love the fact that you are affirming and validating that this is actually something that's very much needed. There's in the collective arising this need to step into this journey of being true to who we really are. And because this summit is all about coming into courageous expression in our authentic beauty, to really own and claim that we have a right, that we deserve to be here, and we deserve to fully express all of who we are, and that there are no shameful or ugly parts. So I love that you highlighted that as you shared your understanding of what the North Node in Aries represents. Now, let's move on to another collective transit that we're currently in, which is the Venus in Leo cycle. I would also love to hear you share more about how this actually relates to the whole idea of taking up space, coming more fully into our authentic beauty. So please share more about that.
Yeah, and before I dive into Venus, I just want to highlight something that you said. You said you received this download for the summit or for the speakers event while you were meditating and did not think so much about the transits, even though you are an astrologer. So it's how I practice astrology. For me, it's really, what do I feel? What comes up in my meditations? And afterwards, I look at the transits and then I think, oh, wow, yeah, of course, it's aligned. So that's what I mean with we are all interconnected. And maybe then you pull an oracle card and it's the same message. And then you talk with a friend and she says the same thing. So it's really, astrology helps us to see it more clearly, but it's all an evolutionary dance. Yeah. And with Venus, it's so interesting because I said with Aries, it's the first fire sign. So it's really this initiation of the self-discovery. And Leo is the second fire sign. And in Leo, it's then about the self-expression. So in Aries, we learn, okay, I have a right to be here. I have a right to set boundaries. And then in Leo, I want to express myself. And so if you like to, I could share my little Venus cycle in Leo presentation and show you a little bit more. Let's see, I present. Yeah, can you see it? I don't see you right now.
No, I think you have to share your screen.
Oh,
So
yeah.
give that a
Sorry.
go.
Yes. I was so in the flow that I forgot to share my screen. Okay. Now I see you. Can you see the presentation? Perfect. Okay. Yeah, if you see this presentation, my Taurus sun always wants my my participant to feel comfortable. So yeah, feel free to stretch, move, eat during the presentation. Okay, some little words about Venus. Who is Venus? Venus is an inner planet, so she orbits between Earth and Sun. She's the planet closest to Earth, so she's really close to us. And here are some other facts that you maybe want to know. So Venus goes retrograde for 40 days every 1.5 years, and the complete Venus cycle is 19 months long. So here you can see Venus in our solar system. So this is the Earth, this is Venus, this is Mercury, and this is the Sun. So she is between the Earth and the Sun. Who is Venus? Venus symbolizes the omnipresent feminine principle. So that's really important for me to point out. So Venus is not just for people who identify as a woman. Venus is really everywhere. Everyone carries Venus energy within them. So that's just a quick overview. With Venus, we connect archetypal topics around the relationship to oneself and the relationship to others. So on the one hand, it's really about how you relate to yourself, to your own needs, feelings, sensations, your body. It's about self-intimacy. It's about your self-worth, your self-confidence, self-love, your values. On the other hand, it's about listening to others, being in connection with other people, relationship with external resources, money, material goods. It's about compassion, empathy. So it's really this balance between relationship to yourself and the relationship to others. Some shadow aspects of Venus. So I'm really trying to do Venus cycle in a nutshell now. Venus shadow aspects can be dependence, so that your well-being or self-worth is dependent on people or circumstances. Things like people-pleasing, fawning, also destructive self-comparison, pleasure addiction. Yeah, that you identify yourself with everything that makes you feel good. Okay, the Venus cycle. What is actually the Venus cycle? As I already said, it's 19 months long, and it describes really the path of Venus around the sun as seen from the Earth. So the Venus cycle is the dance and the relationship of Venus and the sun. And who is the sun, or what is the sun? Or what is the meaning of the sun? It's life force, it's vitality, purpose, consciousness, creative power, our ability to shine and be the center of our world and the creator of our own life. And the sun is also the ruling planet of Leo. I just want to say one word about the Inanna myth, which is often described, or the Inanna myth is an old Sumerian goddess myth, and it's kind of a mythological explanation for Venus' morning star and evening star phase, and Venus' complete disappearance from the sky. So the myth is that Inanna travels into the underworld to meet her dark sister. In the underworld, her sister kills her. Inanna dies. And thanks to a trick, Inanna resurrects, comes to new life, leaves the underworld, and ascends back to the world. And when I now explain the Venus cycle, you will very much understand why this story is connected to the Venus cycle. So I will give you a quick overview about the different phases, the main phases of the Venus cycle, so that you have a little bit an understanding what I'm talking about. So there is the retrograde phase, which is like a reset. Here the cycle starts. Then we have a morning star phase. It's when Inanna descends into the underworld. Then we have the underworld, and then the evening star phase. So you can see it here. This is the sun, this is the earth. The cycle starts here. And then we have it starts during the retrograde phase at the interior conjunction. Then we have 8 months Venus as a morning star. Then the underworld phase for around 90 days. And then 8 months with Venus as an evening star. So just a quick overview. Retrograde phase is when the cycle starts. And this is now important for us because the last Venus cycle, the last Venus retrograde was in summer 2023. It was in Leo. And the cycle started during the retrograde phase when Venus was conjunct the Sun in Leo on August 13th. And the sign in which the cycle starts sets the tone and the energetic frequency for the whole 19-month cycle. Because of that, I'm talking about, or we are talking about, the Venus cycle in Leo. So this was in last August. And the retrograde phase is really a phase about reset and the relationship to ourselves, redefinition of our values. Then comes the morning star phase. Venus moves away from the Earth and slowly but surely comes closer to the sun. That's a time to initiate. We experience that from August till April, from August 2023 till April this year. And there it's time to initiate. And also it's time to let go of everything that is no longer true for you. Then Venus goes into her underworld phase. This is when Venus, you cannot see Venus any longer in the sky. So she is not seen as a morning star, and you cannot see her as an evening star. And this is because she is behind the sun from the perspective of the Earth. And that's often, a time, a transmutation, shadow topics can come up, and it's often, a deep exploration of your own shadows and a lot of inner work too. And then after that, Venus, you can see Venus again in the sky, but then as an evening star. And this is the 8 months long Venus evening star phase. And this is a time of reclamation, reclamation of your truth and inner power. It's also, especially at the end of the phase, often a sense of harvest and resolution. So, and this is a little bit more complicated, so I don't go into that so deep, but just that you know, Venus forms her interior conjunction with is the start of the Venus cycle in almost the same place every 8 years. So now we have a Venus cycle in Leo, and around 8 years ago, there was also a Venus cycle in Leo. So this was in August 2015. So, and it lasted then until March 2017. So just for you, if you are curious to see what is happening now, what has happened then. Okay, now Venus cycle in Leo. Leo is fire, fixed and yang. And as I said, is the second fire sign after Aries. So Aries is about self-discovery, Leo is about self-expression. And we need both when we want to take up space. The ruling planet is the sun. So if you are curious, you can now look at your own astrological birth chart and see where is Leo in your chart. The first topic with this Venus cycle in Leo, so the Venus cycle again started in August 2023 and will last until March 2025. So we are in the midst of this Venus cycle in Leo energy. And one topic that I feel and see very clearly is this of creative power. So really allowing yourself to see yourself as the center, the main character and sun of your own life. And allowing others the same right. It's the self-permission to take up space and to be full. Also in relationships. It's this deep, deep knowing and sense that you create your own life from the heart, instead of meeting the expectations and demands of others or society. The things that we want to heal with the Libra South Node, and also with the Venus cycle that came before the Leo cycle, which was in Capricorn, which was very much about deconditioning. The second topic is courage and empowerment. So not giving up your responsibility for your own life, or seeing yourself as a marginal figure of your own life. It's also about making courageous decisions, saying no and yes. So the sacred no and the sacred yes, or this full body yes, full body no, instead of adapting. And also, I think there is this deep knowing that conflicts or even separation might arise in relationships when you step up with more authenticity. But this also, brings the possibility for more honesty and depth in the relationships. So when you don't adapt any longer and say yes to everything, and because you want to fulfill expectations and really step up for yourself and show up in an authentic way, there is so much more possibility for depth and for honesty. And of course, we don't want to forget to listen. It's every time we want to do it with love and beauty. We want to be courageous and kind too. With Leo, we also learn radical self-acceptance. And I think that's such a juicy and deep topic because you can only fully express yourself when you fully accept yourself. And in Leo, we can tend to just show our best sides in order to gain recognition. So because we love to be seen and we want to be seen in the right light. We just show the parts of us that are okay. And I think we can develop generosity and self-compassion toward our own flaws, quote unquote. And Leo is really about this self-development based on self-acceptance instead of lack. The rawness, own your shadow, allow yourself to show up fully. And maybe my 12th house is coming through here, but I think that in Leo, we really want to learn or want to feel that what wants to come through us, our light, our specialness is really sourced by the divine. So you can see yourself as a unique light that is fed by the divine light, by source. And as a result, you see everyone else also as a light, who are just divine as you. And I think it's this deep, deep knowing that maybe I touched in your first question already onto this deep knowing that the light of source wants to express itself through you. So, and when you are living your full self-expression, you are doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and you occupy your true place. So by living out and expressing your own specialness, you also contribute to the collective. And there Aquarius, the opposite sign of Leo, comes in. And that's so beautiful, Ren, because that is what you are doing with this speakers event too. So you express what wants to come through you and you contribute to the collective by doing this. Yeah, co-creations. And I had to smile again that we are doing this speakers event here and we co-create together instead of being competitors. So all are special and have something to share with Leo and Aquarius. So I think co-creations, cooperations, collaborations, especially in the area of the feminine principle and women, are a huge topic with the Venus cycle in Leo. And I see it in my personal life. I had so much more co-creation so far this year. I see it in the field that many, many people want to reach out and co-create and share and collaborate. So I think it's really a thing. And yeah, I think that this also might confront us with our shadows, with fear around competition, with fear around jealousy, because patriarchy told us that there is not enough for everyone, told us that we need to be competitive in order to survive. So I think there is a lot of deep, deep learning and healing available right now with these energies. Another very, very important topic is being seen versus not being seen. And that's really so deep breaths, because I think with Leo, and again, I see it currently so much with my clients and with myself, there can be this deep, deep fear of being seen and the deep fear of not being seen. So on the one hand, the fear of rejection when we show up and show up in an authentic way. And on the other hand, the fear of not being important to the others if we don't feel seen. So it's really a struggle. And I think it's really important to see if our sense of security and self-esteem is dependent on external validation. So that's very, very much connected to my personal journey or what I shared too. So this, okay, I share and I step up for what feels authentic and what feels true, no matter what, in a way, and trusting yourself, no matter if you feel seen or not feel seen. And we can do a lot of shadow work regarding visibility. So you can ask yourself the question, do I see and acknowledge myself? Or also, who has not seen me before? or has seen and rejected me. So maybe experiences that you made in your childhood and in your past. So one of the, I think it's the last topic that I want to touch upon is stability and self-worth. And here comes in my Taurus sun energy, I guess. So I think to do the Leo work, and it's actually interesting because for the astro nerds here in the field, Taurus and Leo build a square aspect. And when you want to step up and take up space and show up authentically, you need an inner sense of self-worth. You need grounding. And Gabor Mate also mentioned in one of his books, The Myth of Normal, that children choose unconsciously attachment over authenticity. And we also choose attachment over authenticity, especially if we experienced, some kind of trauma, or if we feel insecure inside of us. And I think, especially if you are raised as a woman or identify as a woman, adaptation, fitting in, being thin, being nice are often the requirements to be accepted, to be loved, and to be safe. And especially if your body and your nervous system are in a state of freeze or fawn because of trauma, being seen also feels like a life threat. So when we go on the somatic level, taking up space, being seen, it's an expansion on a somatic level. It's stepping up. And expansion and opening requires to let go of defense mechanism and self-protection, contraction. Yeah, you cannot hide any longer. And I really, really want to say to you, as somebody who watches this, it's easier said than done when we say take up space, because if your body and your nervous system is fucking scared of taking up space and just wants to contract and to self-protect because of the things you experienced in the past, it's so important to have a lot of self-compassion and to seek support, to do holistic healing techniques, somatic practices like somatic experiencing or other things, to really support your whole system in these processes of showing up more authentically, and to not choose attachment over your authenticity any longer. That's it so far for the Venus cycle part.
Wow, this is a really, really rich presentation, Verena. I think you've essentially covered all the overarching topics of what the current Venus cycle in Leo is all about, especially with regards to taking up space. That was really comprehensive, and I was busy scribbling and taking down notes. Let me just share a few reflections, a few points that I really want to emphasize. First off, I love everything you said, and I just want to highlight that at the time when this summit is airing, you had mentioned that the Venus cycle began last summer, 2023. And at the time that this is airing, we would have gone through the underworld phase. And Venus is currently now in its evening star phase where it is ascending. So everything that you said about reclaiming your truth, really owning your power, your inner sense of power, after you've done all the shadowy integration work, it's time now to just as the evening star does, it shines and it radiates in its bright brilliance and beauty. So I feel that the timing of this summit also feels very appropriate, like divine timing. It's about inspiring women to take bold action, to really come into a full expression of who they are. But I also really appreciate what you said at the end, that taking up space can be really, really scary, especially if you're holding on to trauma, past programming and conditioning in your past that may have kept you in freeze mode or even in fawning, people pleasing, it becomes very difficult to overcome the the people pleasing modalities and to step into a fuller expression. So exactly as you put it, it's easier said than done. And I know for me, it took a lot of support, like receiving a lot of help, even believing that I was worthy. So when you talked about self-worth, yeah, I feel that so many women don't believe that they are worthy and deserving of investing in themselves and receiving support. There seems to be this, very masculine, toxic masculine paradigm of I've got to do it on my own. I've got to be independent. Otherwise, I'm a complete failure. So I really, really want to highlight that piece because I feel that especially in this day and age, when women are awakening and rising, and there can be this tendency, as you've also pointed out, to feel that, oh, I have to compete. I'm comparing myself with other people who seem to be better. And then if we are at a place where we don't have sufficient and a strong, solid sense of self-worth, we may continue to slip into victimhood and feel that we're not enough and that there's no point trying. So there can be this vicious cycle. So I really, really want to encourage everyone who's watching this and who feels a resonance with everything that Verena has shared to really take to heart. Leo is all about the heart, and the sun is also all about the heart, to really dig deep and see what is it that they need in order to support them to come into courageous expression. In line with that, I also want to highlight something that you mentioned quite briefly, but it got me reflecting. Again, what I love about astrology, as you pointed out at the beginning, is that just like you, I don't necessarily look at astrology to predict what's going to happen. Oftentimes, it's a hindsight phenomenon where I go through something, I experience something, I live through something, and then I look back and see, I wonder why I was going through that specific phase in my life and what was really showing up. So when you highlighted at one point that the last time that we had the Venus and Leo cycle was in 2015 to 2017. And I had this aha moment when you asked us all to think back in that period of our life. Because right now we're still going through the Venus and Leo cycle. So I can't fully say as I'm living through it, sometimes things are just in your face. I can't quite fully say, oh, this is what I'm going through right now. I can sense and feel into certain things, and I take one step at a time. But when I started reviewing what happened in my life in 2015 and 2017, so many of the shadow aspects that you highlighted came to the forefront. So that was actually around the time that I got married. And I went through this crisis moment of coming into a relationship of who I am versus, being in relationship with another person. In this case, coming into a very intimate relationship with my lifelong partner and mate, and having to navigate that, finding myself in codependent situations and really resisting that. But at the same time, because I hadn't rested fully in a solid sense of self-worth, there were a lot of fears and insecurities that came up, a lot of projections that I then took out on my partner. And it wasn't until, actually, now that I think about it, it was in 2017 that I did the major self-work and invested in a personal coach that actually transformed my life. So I kind of feel that, the gift with the Venus and Leo cycle back then was that it woke me up to the realization that at the end of the day, the relationship that we have with ourselves is fundamental. Like it is the foundation to everything else, to every other relationship we can have in our lives. So I know for me on a personal level, it was that marriage crisis that woke me up to that. And then I was in a sufficient place of self-worth to say, yes, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to take care of my needs. I'm going to give to myself. I'm going to feed and nurture myself so that then later I can go out into the community, in this case, in my relationship, and then after that, into a wider community. So everything you said about, shining our brilliance, our sun, being in our sun, first of all, we've got to look inwards and tend to that inner fire. So I just want to highlight that because I feel that for someone who's new to astrology or even a seasoned astrologer, it always helps to have these moments of reflection to look at how the past cycle was. And that will help to inform where we are currently now and what we're living through. So, having said all that, that actually brings me to my next question, which is for knowing that we are currently going through the Venus and Leo cycle that will only end next year, and if you're currently facing challenges in any form, self-worth, right, could be a key one, but also any of those that you have highlighted in your presentation. What are some tips and strategies that you would give to someone who is struggling with Venus and Leo issues? How can she take comfort and take inspiration in the collective energies to help us step into greater self-love, greater authenticity, and therefore fuller authentic expression?
Wow, that's such a beautiful question. Thank you for asking. I think there are many ways. What just came into my mind is that because we know it's also a collective theme that maybe connect with other people, women who may be experiencing similar things, co-create and do collaboration. So sometimes it's easier to step up and show up and take up space if you are not alone, but if you are creating something together with someone else. So I think that would be a very nice opportunity or possibility to help yourself, so that you encourage yourself and another person together. So co-creation, collaborations, um, to bring your offers and what you feel called to share into the world together with another person. The other thing is that I think we really, especially if it is very, very challenging for you and you have this experience that you really want to step up and take up more space and show up more authentically, but it's so much fear in your system around that. I think that really, yeah, allowing yourself to look for support, do holistic healing practices. I really love astrology can help us, especially evolutionary astrology, to gain more clarity about our past patterns, about our past lives too. I mean, we bring so much with us into this life already. So gaining clarity with evolutionary astrology or even with hypnosis therapy or yeah, there are different forms of therapy where you really go into this more soul level, intellectual level to really see how what are the patterns that you experienced when you were a child, around being seen or not being seen. And on the other hand, as I said, I think we should never forget our body, the somatic level, that even though we might understand why we have such struggle to take up space on an intellectual level and on a mental level and even on a spiritual level, it can still stuck in your bones. It can still stuck in your body. So really, there are somatic practices that help you to really, to uncouple, to bring the awareness into your body that it's now safe to be seen. Because I wanted to mention that, I mean, our body and our system, our nervous system is very, very smart. So it's not a bad thing that you maybe are afraid of showing up, because there have been times where this that not showing up or staying small helped you to survive. So just acknowledge your own, don't judge yourself for being afraid. Say, okay, thank you, body, thank you, nervous system. I could survive because of that. But now maybe it's time for healing. Now it's maybe time to, yeah, to take space and to be supported on this way.
Yes, and I really just want to add on to what you just shared there because, gosh, like if I reflect on the last Venus cycle, I think, if I hadn't taken on the lessons there, if I hadn't listened and received support, which is the point that you're making here. It's so important for us women to receive support, to believe that we're worthy and deserving of receiving. I don't think I'll be here today. And it's really funny because now I can reflect. It's about 8 to 9 years on, right? Back then when I began and embarked on this deep dive intensive of healing my personal wounds, I had no idea that one day I'll be stepping up and sharing it with a wider community. It comes back to this point you made about the Aquarian age that we have entered into already, that as one heals, so does the collective, that everything that we do has that ripple effect on the wider level. So we're not just healing ourselves, but we're also playing a significant, important role in healing the collective. And that's why I really loved your whole resonance and share around interconnection. That's something that I really believe in as well, that just as we feed ourselves, we're feeding the collective. And as we feed the collective, we're also feeding ourselves. There's this beautiful reciprocal flow. But that flow can only happen if we allow that spaciousness and that space to open up for ourselves. So I love everything that you said there. I also had this idea that, in terms of like supporting ourselves if we're facing struggles and challenges, I know that you're going to take us through a beautiful Venus and Leo meditation now. I'm thinking that also, yeah, sitting in stillness, tuning in, listening to our inner truth. That can also be a very powerful way of supporting ourselves, tuning into our own inner wisdom as we're going through this cycle. So why don't I invite you now to take the space and lead us through this meditation?
Yeah, thank you so much. And yes to everything you said, Iran. And it's so fascinating to hear your story with the Venus and Leo cycle. So thank you so much. Yeah, now I will connect with source and sunlight. Mm. And yeah, make yourself comfortable. You can find a comfortable seat. See if you want to change anything in the way you're sitting. Maybe you can put your feet on the ground. And if it feels good for you, you can close your eyes or you can rest your gaze on an object. And then just allow your body to fully arrive in the here and now. Feel your feet on the ground, feel your legs. And just notice with which body parts you now touch the seat underneath you. Feel the back of your body, your spine. Feel the front of your body, your root, your belly, your chest. Feel your shoulders, arms, and hands, your fingers. But also notice what your fingers now touch. Maybe your legs or the clothes. Feel your throat and your head, your face. And just observe your breathing. You don't need to change anything. Just observe how you're breathing in and out in a constant rhythm and flow. And if it feels good, you can take some deeper breaths, breathing in through the nose, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Just allowing yourself that you can now really sink into your body. Everything that you heard during the talk and during the presentation is already stored in your heart, in your mind. And you can now relax and receive and just be here. You don't need to think or figure out anything. Just allow your soul to rest in your body and allow your body to be carried by the earth. And now bring your awareness to this beautiful fact that your beautiful body on planet Earth is part of bigger cycles, larger dimensions. That planet Earth is one planet in our beautiful solar system. And now imagine that above you, in the sky, in the cosmos, is also another planetary body that is interconnected with planet Earth and with your body. And this is planet Venus. Venus, who is so much about the relationship to yourself and to others, to beauty and compassion and love, to self-worth. And planet Venus is dancing around the sun, such as you on planet Earth are dancing around the sun. And now imagine that when you see Venus as a twinkling evening star or as a brilliant morning star, you actually see Venus as she reflects the light of the sun, the light of source and source energy. The sun, the center of life, source, this loving, divine light, this life-spanning energy, source of creation. And now imagine that the light of the sun, the light of Venus, flows now to you. You can imagine that this stream of golden sun and Venus light streams slowly and beautifully from the cosmos down to the earth where you are currently located on. And you can imagine that this beautiful sun and Venus light now flows through your crown chakra into your head, into your throat, and this golden healing light of Venus and the sun really expands and lightens up your head space, your throat, clears everything that is stuck in your throat. And it expands even more. It flows golden through your whole chest and your heart area. And you can take a deep breath if you want into your chest, into your heart, and feel how this light of Venus and the sun really helps you to take up space, to expand, to shine. And you actually feel that this light of Venus and the sun just helps your own light, the light of your own heart, to shine even brighter. That the sun and the Venus light just ignites your own flame, your own fire that is already there. And let this sun, this golden sunlight also drop a little bit deeper into your belly, into your womb area, into your root. And allow this golden light to also heal and clear everything that is no longer serving you, that feels stuck, that feels old. Maybe that even belongs no longer to you, that you have taken over from your past, from your ancestors, from past lives. Allow this deep, deep clearing and healing happen. And now the golden light flows down into your legs, into your feet, and brings fresh energy, power, life force into your legs so that you can move and go wherever you feel called to go. And feel that the light of the sun and the light of Venus and your unique light are connecting with Earth too, with this loving, deep frequency of planet Earth. And that there is now this beautiful stream of light between the sun, between Venus, between your heart, between your throat, between your root, your feet, and planet Earth, and back into the cosmos. You are part of this stream of light. Whenever you need to, you can call upon this light so that you are sourced by source, fed by this light that helps your light to even shine brighter. And notice how big this light wants to expand. How much space, maybe even around you, does your light, which is connected to the light of the sun and the earth and Venus, wants to take up? You can even take your arms and stretch them around you to feel how far this light goes, how much you can expand. And just observe, don't judge. If your light is small today, then it's small today. If your light bulb, your bubble of light is huge and big and even bigger than your arms can reach, then this is beautiful too. Take up the space that feels authentic and true and good and nourishing, and at the same time expansive and safe for you right now. You are divine light. You are supported. You are part of the cosmos and of the earth. You came here for a reason. There is a deep, deep mission and calling in your heart. Trust it. Trust this desire in your heart. Just enjoy this feeling of being full of light for a couple of seconds and observe maybe what message comes through you and listen. And no matter if there is a lot or if there's silence, everything's perfect as it is right now. You are on your way. You are on your journey. You are so brave. You are doing so well. Everything takes time. Your system is so smart. And also, it's time to heal the past and to reconnect with your true light, with your heart, with your courageous heart, with your beautiful body, with your calling here on planet Earth. It's time to take up space, to re-become this untamed, wild and beautiful being that you are, to shine your light that is always connected with source energy. So take a deep breath. Maybe you want to put your hands on your heart or on your solar plexus and feel again this beautiful golden light in your solar plexus and heart. And feel your feet on the ground. And remind yourself that even when you now, in some moments, open your eyes, you're still connected to this light. You are light. Then you maybe want to wiggle your feet a little bit. You can tap your hands over your arms to awaken your body, to feel your physical body again. And before you look at the screen, I gently invite you to not look at the screen, but really open your eyes slowly and locate yourself in the room that you are by just looking very slowly from the left side of your body, slowly but surely, with your head and your eyes around the room. Look above you, look what is in front of you. Look what is on the right side of your body. You maybe even want to look back, what is in your back, to really give yourself the opportunity to come back in the place you are in right now. And if you're ready, you can look at the screen again. How
Wow,
are you today?
Verena, that was amazing. It was such a nourishing journey. I know that I'm going to want to listen to this again. Like, I'm definitely going to replay it a couple of times. At the beginning, I mentioned that I think my last question to you was asking for strategies and tips. I feel that this meditation, this guided visualization right here, it's the perfect antidote. Anytime you feel that you're struggling or you need a little, sisterly support. That was how I felt. Like when I felt into the energetic transmission, it felt like a sisterly guidance of someone telling me that you're doing so well, you're brave, and then gently nudging me to connect with the sun in my soul. That was really beautiful. Yeah, so I would also really encourage attendees who are watching this to know that they can come back and listen to this. It was really nourishing, and I would love to share. I won't be able to share everything, but I want to share a couple of nuggets that landed for me, um, with the hope that it also inspires the audience to do this practice and go deep. So first of all, I think I want to share that Venus is a very special place in my heart. It was one of the planetary archetypes that I felt very drawn to when I began my astrology journey. And I've always associated it with the priestess archetype. And so a huge part of my journey was to reclaim and own this archetype. I feel that there have been a lot of as part of my evolutionary journey, there have been so much trauma and wounding around this particular frequency and energy, and a lot of insecurities, right? A lot of low self-worth. Like, who am I to call myself a priestess? A lot of wanting to stay hidden, to be really private and not share this. And then coming into greater sovereignty and finally owning, accepting, and embracing it. And to me, the Venus priestess archetype, it's very much about being of service. But what does it even mean to be of service? And your presentation actually highlighted a couple of insights for me. I think in the past, before I had done the shadow work and processed the woundings, being of service was very much wrapped or entangled with people pleasing. Because being of service meant serving another person, like my clients, for instance, and then wanting to, like, finding myself getting torn and going to people pleasing mode, potentially perhaps even leaning into fawning. But as I came back and stood in my own inner light and came into alignment with my authentic self, what came through was, okay, to really be of service means to have healthy boundaries. And that was also something that you had highlighted at the beginning, right? Being in full agency and sovereignty and being of service in that place. Because if I think about it, the priestess does not fawn. She serves from a higher calling. There's that higher mission that she's aligned to. And even if, say, clients project stuff or seemingly reject certain truths that she's sharing, she doesn't waver. She is very clearly, in devotion to what is coming through. So just recognizing that in myself is part of my own journey so that now I can be of service in a more authentic and aligned way. And because of that, it just feels a lot more powerful. I can take the projections. I can see that it's not who I really am. And to continue to hold my clients in that container as they're working through their projections. So that was really beautiful to experience. And, there was one point when you were guiding us to expand, right? To even stretch our arms out and expand. It was so interesting because my experience of it was, oh, I didn't actually see myself growing bigger. But what I felt viscerally and quite tangibly was that my inner flame was strong, that it was packed. A lot of the times when you think about expansion, it's about, yeah, let's make a really big impact. Let's just spread our message as wide as it can go, have as big a reach as we can have. But what I felt was, no, it's about coming back into center, coming back to our power. That's what truly matters. And then we will call in the aligned people, the aligned community and tribe. So that came very strongly for me. And I'm reminded that with Venus, the principle is one of attraction and magnetic attraction. It's not about like going out and reaching out. It's about being really aligned in our authentic self, being in service of the sun, the light, the divine light. And then Venus, to me, we are that vessel that carries that light and brings it forth. Yeah, so I think I'll stop here. There was a lot of richness that came through as I mentioned, and I know that I'll be going through this again because it was really rich. Yeah, thank you so much, Verena, for channeling all that, especially for us here at this summit. Yeah.
Thank you, Iren, so much for receiving it, which is so much related to Venus. And I'm grateful that I was allowed to receive this channeled meditation. So I can never prepare for this. So what is happening is happening. And I'm happy that you received it so well and that it brought up so much for you. And I totally agree with everything you said. And I also heard so much. There was a little bit of Virgo and Vesta energy in what you shared. So I would be actually interested in looking at your chart sometimes, because what you said about this, I really want just to emphasize and highlight what you said about it's not always about expansion in a way that growing bigger. Sometimes it's really about this focused energy, this focused inner flame. And yeah, so whatever it means to feed your flame, to take up space, whatever that means personally for you, I think everyone who's listening knows what it means. And it's not always to be bigger. It's sometimes to go deeper or to go higher. So it's, or to concentrate more or to just focus more. So I think, yeah, there is a rich medicine around it, because everyone connects other stories and other learnings with this topic to take up space and to shine. Yeah.
What a beautiful reflection and insight. So just to answer your question, Vesta is conjunct my ascendant. So the whole idea of like tending to our hearth, right, and really honoring our inner flame, that
I heard Vesta when you started to say priestess. I thought, okay, maybe there's something around Vesta and Venus going on in your chart. Yeah.
yeah, beautiful. And definitely we can continue this conversation after. But at this point, I would really love for the audience to know how they can find out more about your amazing work. Because having just had a taste of your meditation, I know they'll want to experience more. So let me talk briefly about the amazing free gift that you have for the audience, and that is a Venus guide. So it's a beautiful PDF to allow attendees to connect with their Venus, to awaken her archetypal energy inside of you, and to learn more about her cycle. Beautiful. And I know that you also have another gift, a 25% discount for a Venus cycle workshop that you have. So please, would you like to share more about how these two beautiful gifts can support women in understanding more about Venus and therefore taking up greater space in their lives?
Yeah, sure. And thank you that I'm allowed to share about that. Yeah, so my Venus PDF guide is really a beautiful little guide where you just connect with your own Venus and learn more about planet Venus and the archetype of Venus and deepen what we talked about here. So it's a downloadable guide that you receive for free directly into your inbox. And my Venus Cycle workshop with the discount code Take Up Space, you get 25% discount, and it's actually a 2-hour workshop in German and English language where you really learn to sync with the Venus. So we go through all of the phases. You learn about the topics of each phase in the first part of the workshop, and in the second part of the workshop, you learn so much more about the Venus cycle in Leo. So we go even deeper into these topics. And an important part of the workshop is also that I give you tangible tips and really, inspiration how you can create your own holistic offers in tune with the Venus cycle. For example, how you can create your ceremonies and cycles attuned with the Venus cycle, and how you can enrich your one-on-one coaching with Venus wisdom. So there is a lot in this workshop. And yeah, it's recorded, you get it in the minute, you sign up for it. And yeah, it's a beautiful workshop, and I highly recommend if you want to go deeper and really sync with Venus and her cycle and use this knowledge for your clients' work. Yeah.
Beautiful, amazing. Thank you so much for offering these two generous gifts. And I highly encourage all of you who are watching this to sign up on the link below this video to access Verena's beautiful, wise sharings. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Verena, for gracing us with your presence today. And as we bring our time together to a close, I'm wondering, if you have one insight, one takeaway that you would like to offer attendees who are watching this, what is that one insight that you would like them to go away with from our time together today?
Okay, one that is coming intuitively is that it's really time. It's time. It's time to take up space. And on the other hand, take your time with that.
Yeah, I love paradoxes. There's so much truth in the paradox. There's, earlier on, you mentioned this idea of scarcity, right? Feeling that there's a lack. That's this toxic patriarchal paradigm that we're in that forces us to compete for survival. Like, oh, there's only going to be enough space for so much. But that's not necessarily true. There is lots of space for everyone, and there is also lots of time. And to really trust in the divine right timing that is there. Yeah.
And also, it's a Venus cycle. And after that comes the new Venus cycle. So I think that syncing with these cycles gives us so much more spaciousness. So you will evolve no matter what. So it's time, and take your time. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And on this wise, beautiful note, I'd just like to thank you once again for being here with us. And also a huge thank you to all attendees who are watching this. Do stay tuned for another amazing lineup of speakers and interviews that are coming your way.